sad he lost it to no. Can we get a sad song for my guy? No way. I can't believe this. But I think if you ask me, I think I have the opinion that is generally the most common, in that I was not upset when the timer left. In fact, I didn't even notice when the timer was gone, because it's that much of a non-factor in modern day Mario, really. Now, the timer can work in the Mario series, which is proof with Luigi U, but I think other than that game, I don't think there's a single instance where the timer's really been this core factor in Mario game design, unless they account for it, which, like I said, in Luigi U, some of the levels in 3D World, and I think in 3D Land as well, also like start you with a reduced timer. But other than those levels, I can't say that I care about the timer. So Frog Vibes, I think he's got slightly more subscribers than me, so we can be mean to him because he's got more subscribers than me. He's got 10 minutes to convince us that the timer is actually useful. And I'm intrigued. I'm genuinely intrigued. This is an intriguing title. I really want to know. If you do convince me, hats off to you. If you don't, the video is bad and you should take it down. You should be ashamed of yourself. You got 1 by 50. Oh, do I? Okay, I have to be nice. Guys, okay. Guys, we have to be nice then. We have to be nice, chat, okay? We have to be nice. All right, because otherwise, I'm a bigger channel than him, okay? I'm a bigger channel than him, so we have to be nice. Maybe, depending on how good his arguments are. Let's watch.
You notice that Super Mario Wonder doesn't have a time limit on its levels? Isn't that a bit strange? For something that has been there for over 40 years to just get left out? And if it's not an essential feature, why did it take so long to cut? I wanna know. So to figure this out, I went and looked at why this little timer appeared in the first place, and how it evolved over time. Also, I can properly dissect its disappearance in Wonder. Do stay tuned, because through this search I did not only find out why it was cut, I think I also found out that its exclusion hints at how Wonder is trying to fundamentally change what a Mario game is.
Fundamentally change what a Mario... That's a big claim. I'm just letting you know, Frog Vibes. That's a massive claim to make. One that I'm sure you can convince me of, but you've got a lot of work to do. Let's begin.
I am Stein, project lead at Frog Vibes.
Hello, Stein.
For Here Comes Nico.
Sorry, hang on. How do you pronounce that?
What a Mario game is.
I don't like getting names pronounced. I don't like pronouncing names wrong. I'm very particular about it. Sign. Is that how you say it? Sign? Okay, sign. Sign!
Project lead at Frog Vibes, known for Here Comes Nico, and currently working on $5 for the bus. Let's go. What? To understand how the lack of a level timer relates to a larger shift in Nintendo's design philosophy,
so if you're an indie dev, I'm expecting big brain concepts from you, Mr. Indie Dev. I'm expecting it. Let's go. My expectations could not be more higher.
First had to understand its initial purpose. And I'd best start at the beginning by taking a look at our favorite plumber's first encounter with this lethal clock. But be warned. In doing this, I might have revealed the predatory business practices behind the beloved classic. Because, as it turns out, I had to go all the way back to the beginning, to the original Donkey Kong. Can you spot the timer? To be honest, when I started looking into this, I was convinced this game didn't have a timer, but it's right there. So why is it there? My gut says it has a bit to do with how arcades work, seeing as how arcades are the natural habitat of this monkey. Arcades. They're businesses, right? They buy game cabinets from various companies, then invite people to come over and throw quarters inside.
I think we all know this. Even though the arcades are a bit odd, I think we all know this. Obviously, arcade games were generally designed to be like a bit chicaneous, so you'd keep putting your quarters in. You know, I think we all kind of know that, right?
More quarters it eats per unit of time, the better. So it would stand to reason that the time limit plays a part in that. Maybe it's there to make sure that cautious players who are taking too long are cut off, eventually requiring another quarter to keep playing. Or maybe it's there to reward players for getting better at the game. See, it also grants points for clearing a level with time to spare. That's probably why they called it bonus. And there really is only one way to get better at an arcade game, and that is to keep playing. And to keep playing is to keep feeding it those scrumptious pennies. Is using game design to entice people to give their money a bad thing?
No, because I do it as well, guys. Ooh, donate to the...
Really, all commercial games have that as their end goal, and the way it's done here is child's play compared to some of the tactics in the game industry today. I'd be quite happy to spend some pennies to go on a little adventure, though these days most arcades only have machines that focus on singular challenges. Hold that thought because it will become relevant later. But if it's all about quarters and pennies, why do we still see it in home console games? For instance, I went and took a look at Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Here we can see the timer pop up again, right there. Now aptly named Time. I went and assumed that it's still fun to get bonus points. High scores were big around this time too. It's still fun to get better at the game and compare your score to others. Something we don't do as much these days. Keep that in mind. However, what is starting to become more apparent here on the good old NES is the way in which the timer encourages a particular playstyle. The game is most fun when you're on the move. This might seem quite obvious to us experienced gamers, but it's not evident to everyone.
Ooh, it worked. Ooh, Jordan! Thank you so much, gamers. You're too kind, you're too kind, you're too kind. Sorry, repeat that point again, hang on.
To us experienced gamers, but it's on the move. This might seem quite obvious to us experienced gamers, but it's not evident to everyone. I've seen inexperienced players awkwardly muck about in this game. Then, suddenly, the game announces that they're running out of time, prompting them to start making a run for it. It is often in this moment where I'll notice that they're finally starting to have fun. I think this shows how ingenious this simple feature really is. I might even dare to say that without it, a good number of people might not have even gotten the point of the game.
Okay, Jesus. Okay, guys, I'm trying to actually like analyze the video and come up with some good points. But thank you for the money. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jesus. Oh my God. I should just do this out. Ooh. No, okay, no, stop. I actually want to. Okay, I need to rewind the video because I was listening, but you guys distracted me. Actually, hang on. So I think it's point. Hang on. I want to hear it again. one more time.
Prompting them to start making a run for it. It is often in this moment where I'll notice that they're finally starting to have fun. I think this shows how ingenious this simple feature really is. I might even dare to say that without it, a good number of people might not have even gotten the point of the game.
Hang on.
Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I just think these timers are very cool and interesting.
I don't necessarily disagree that like one element of the timer can be that if an inexperienced player doesn't realize it and then has that moment of jeopardy where they're like, oh shit, I only have a minute left, and they run to the end, that could be a thrilling moment. But surely that's like a one-time thing, right? Like once you as the player go through that moment once, is that ever really gonna happen again? Like unless your memory is literally Swiss cheese, which mine might be on account of my ADHD, but like I don't think it's that bad, you know? Like that'll happen once, maybe twice, but like I don't really think that's happening so often where I'm giving the timer any props for that, you know? I don't really think so. I think you did admit you're exaggerating a tad, but lad, but. Not your strongest opening point, I will say so. I feel like the timer is designed for single-player experiences, but not much for multiplayer. I mean, yeah, but what do you say designed for? Like, what do you mean? Like, do you think Mario games designed for it very well? I don't really think so. Do you know? I don't really think so. Again, Luigi U is the only example that this guy could probably bring up where I'd be like, do you know what? Fair. But so far, I'm not convinced. But you got plenty of time left, brother. I think if it does happen, again. There are longer levels later where you have to take it careful because it's pretty far in, which causes the timer to kick in again. What I would say is, how often does that happen to you, Jonak? Like, I think this is more of a collective exercise. It's less of me disagreeing with this guy, but more of a collective analysis. If you're asking me personally, I can't really think of too many instances when I'm thinking back to video gaming as a kid where the timer was like, had this moment of jeopardy. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is 8-1 in the original Super Mario Bros. And that's because that level starts with a notoriously smaller timer than the rest of the levels do. I think it starts with 300 Mario seconds instead of the usual 400 like this level does. So as a result, if you do, and with that level being a bit longer than most levels, I think it does end up having a bit of jeopardy. And I remember like numerous times when I replay that game as a kid, I would end up with like 50 seconds left on the Mario clock in that level. But I can't really think of too many instances like growing up as a kid, as a teenager, as an adult, where like the Mario timer had that much of an effect on me. Again, it's a collective exercise. I think if some of you guys have experience where you did, I'd love to hear it. But if you're asking me, absolutely not. I don't really agree. Thank you for the 5, Zero. I appreciate it. The timer was at its best with those short 100 seconds in 3D. Yeah, exactly. When they account for it in a design of a level, I think it works fantastic. I think all of us like that with Luigi and 3D World. But other than that, not really so much. For me, it hasn't happened in over a decade. I think it's happened in 8-3, and that's kind of it. With the Hammer Bros, yeah, I think so. I think I could see that happening 100%. NES Mario games just had it because of the game design philosophy at the time, and then stuck with it into the series or into Wonder. I think that's my theory as well, but I'm hoping Frog Vibes can convince me otherwise. The time is just there. I don't really care for it. 2 levels, I'd say. The first and the one you mentioned, which isn't a lot. Yeah, exactly. It's like I hope you can come up with other examples. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because you guys seem to like this Frog Vibes guy. Oh, he made this indie. I don't know what the name of the indie game was, but he made this indie game. He made my indie game, Moresty. He made my indie game. I don't care that he made an indie game. I want him to make a good video. Okay, come on.
Before I went and dissected Super Mario Wonder, I had my eye on another game, or rather a series of games. See, in 2006, Nintendo released a revival of 2D Mario. After a 15-year gap, they still decided to keep the level timer. Look, it has a little clock now. This was interesting to examine, because they did have a great opportunity to cut it then and there. So I tried to figure out what new Super Mario...
Why would they cut it then and there? I mean, I don't know if he's specifically referring to the new series or this new game in particular. I didn't hear. I might have to go back just to confirm.
Mario.
I think he's talking about the new series as a whole, which is fair. I guess when they started the new series, that was probably the opportunity to like refine the game design, maybe like get rid of the old elements. Which I guess you're not right. Okay, let's continue.
To cut it then and there. So I tried to figure out what new Super Mario Bros. Does with it. While the reasons we discussed could still apply here, I wanted to try and find more. Note, I am looking at Super Mario Bros. U, and this is because I have it installed on my Switch. These games are luckily quite simple.
You should have played all of them.
So one of the most fun things to do in these games is collecting star coins. Though it can be a bit tricky. I've had times where I'm convinced that I'm in the right spot, so I keep trying and trying. At some point this will get tedious, as my determination overtakes my desire to have fun. Which kinda sounds like my day-to-day if I'm honest. Luckily, new Super Mario Bros. Has a solution, in the form of the timer that kills you if you take too long.
Okay, again, I'm gonna have to poll the room for this chat. Because when this guy says this, I'm just like, I'm gonna be honest, brother, I have no idea what you're talking about. I cannot think of a single instance playing the new Super games as a teenager or as an adult where I was like, racking my brain, oh, I think there's a star coin here, and then I died because I ran out of time. I genuinely cannot think of a single instance. There's been instances where like I tried to find one and I'm like, oh fuck, it's not here, and I just move on of my own accord. But like I can't even think of an instance where I tried to find something and then the timer was like at 1 minute. I was like, oh shit, you know, I mean, fair enough, it does happen to you, lad, but this example isn't the relatable example that you probably think it is. I don't know, chat. You got yeah, I've never spent that long on a single coin. I've never timed that look of a coins. If anything, I just look it up. Yeah, I think that's the thing in the modern day. You just like, you could just look stuff up, you know, which is how most gamers tend to do it. If you take 8 minutes on one star coin and that's just I think these are the stupid ones that this could apply to. I think definitely, but I think more often than not, and I would say, again, you guys can help me with this because it's a collective exercise, but more often than not, I would leave that level and then I'd come back later for it. Like you guys have seen me like play the new Super games when I stream them, right? Generally, my philosophy is, at least when I was playing U, I did kind of skip it in Wii, but at least when I was playing U, I beat the levels, and then if I could find them, I could get them. But if I was not, then I'm like, I'll just do that off stream, you know? And I did do it off stream. I did find them. I did. But that's generally my philosophy. I'll beat the level, get as many as I can. If I didn't find one, then I'll just go back for it specifically. And I can't think of any instance where I'm spending 400 Mario seconds on like one like middle star coin, you know? Like it's just not really happening that often. I don't know. Again, I could be completely wrong. I just don't know. If it isn't power up block, I tried my best to find on the first go. But have you ever gone to a point where the timer runs out because you're really trying to like go for it, Zozim? That's what I'm thinking. Like this guy said, because this is the first time I'm ever hearing this. I've never heard anyone in my life say this, you know, but intriguing. Possible, but I can't recall. Interesting. You're bringing out some interesting points, Frog Vibe. Not very convincing, but let's continue.
What this does is it interrupts these moments. You'll get booted out of the level, giving you a clear choice. Try again. Maybe this time, through replaying part of the level, you'll stumble on the actual location of the coin. The one you missed because you were obsessing over that one pipe you can't even enter. Or, alternatively, you can just say, let's try that one again later. Isn't that cool? You might think I don't need a timer to tell me what to do, I can just decide to exit the level myself. But to me, a well-designed game is made with a certain experience in mind. I don't like having to tell myself to stop doing this thing because it's starting to get tedious. Because for me to notice something is tedious means I'm already experiencing tedium. And that's something I think...
it's hard for me not to tell you that the tedium is kind of self-made. You know, this... Like you say there's a tedium involved, but I feel like feel like it's of your own making, Mr. Vibe. I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. Like, if that's how you play video games, like, obviously that's just how you play video games. But like, I can't say I've ever felt that way about a This is very odd. It's a very odd video, Frog Vibes. You know, I was expecting, you know, at least something to latch onto here, but a lot of it seems to be your own personal experience, which is fair. Which is a fair way to make a video. But if the whole point of this was to maybe convince or persuade, I can't really say either or. I mean, it's fascinating hearing your experiences in a strange, cathartic way, but I can't say I relate in the slightest. It's like, you know, what's that saying? It's like, if we could teach lions to talk, we still wouldn't understand what they were saying. That's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like we taught a frog to talk, and he's speaking English, but like all I'm hearing is like fucking ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. I'm in the pond on a lily pad catching flies, ribbit, ribbit. And I'm like, I don't relate to any of this, brother, okay? I go to work at like fucking central London, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm about, you know? That's my vibe. The entire video just feels like a big I guess. It kind of does, doesn't it? Oh shit! From an indie dev as well. I was expecting better from you, Frog Vibes. Stick to making games. I'll stick to making videos. Something to keep in mind is that, as I was pointed out when talking about Mario 1, is that he's taken the perspective of the super casual player in mind. I think that's entirely fair, but like, how casual are we talking here? Like, how casual? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like even if I gave my sisters, who like haven't played a video game in 20 years, a Mario game, I still don't feel like this would be their experience. And even if you are like appealing to this super casual player, one, I think stating it outright in the beginning would have like alleviated any confusion from the viewer like myself. And secondly, if anything, I think that's not necessarily the best overall general demographic you want to target for. You don't necessarily have to target to the super capital G gamers, fucking I am all of me, I'm in all these sort of gamers. But like targeting this demographic is also just as small, I would say. I'm just left confused and bereft. But let's continue the video nonetheless.
I think a game should help me avoid. So yeah, I like the timer. It's there to end Mario before I want to end him myself. Are level timers actually great and not annoying at all? Maybe, or maybe not. It's at least clear that there is some sort of purpose to them. And with that in mind, let's look at Super Mario Wonder. But wait, there's a quick side note I stumbled upon that's kinda interesting. In some games, particularly 3D Land and 3D World, there's a clock item. It technically first appeared in Super Mario Bros. Special, but I don't even know what that is, so let's just ignore that for now. This clock item adds units of time back to the timer. Why is that interesting? From what I can tell, it seems to be a way to keep the urgency of a level timer during longer levels. Now, the alarm can go off in the first half of the level without you being doomed, because unbeknownst to you, there's a carefully placed clock. That's also why they're usually easy to grab. In a way, they are distributing time over space. Neat, right? Where was I? I was trying to figure...
I mean, if anything, I think you could make the somewhat convincing... I've not refined this take, but I feel like you could make the somewhat convincing argument that maybe the clocks were kind of a band-aid fix. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, for example, in 3D World, right? I'm sure if we go to the comments, and I'm sure this is some of your experience too, 3D World is probably the only Mario game where like maybe I would time out the levels, not because I'm taking long, but because like the levels are so big and expansive, I kind of want to explore it all, you know? So I think they kind of added a timer as like a band-aid fix to, okay, if you are like exploring a bit more of the level, here's some extra timers. So if anything, I feel like it's a band-aid fix. They could, in fact, if anything, they could have removed the timers entirely from 3D World and it not really made too much of a difference. But again, instead, like as I said, they made this band-aid fix of, we're going to give, if you do decide to explore in certain areas, we'll give you a timer so that you can explore a bit more. It feels like an exploratory aid, when instead the better exploratory aid could have been removing the timer. That's just me spitballing. I haven't really refined that at all. I'm not surprised that he hasn't mentioned any of the games reducing the timer to encourage people to actually go fast. I mean, he's got time to mention that, you know. I feel the clocks are more of a detriment than anything. It's fun when the timers are lower because they could have done something else. I think the timers in the 3D games add the stress to the timer because it reminds you that they're there. But I don't think I even timed down one of the 3D games. I think I nearly got timed down one of them. But that's because I was harassing Galoombas. If you know, you know.
Figure out why Mario Wonder decided to go commando without a level timer. Let's see. So it turns out that while having no level timer, Mario Wonder does have other timers. For instance, the little timers in speed-based levels. These actually count up instead of down, mimicking something more akin to a speedrun timer. I think this is already saying something about the dev's vision for this game. In general, I found that this game has a much bigger focus on challenges over traditional level progression. We see it in these speedrun levels, but also the wonder flowers and even its badges. And most levels are incredibly short compared to the ones in earlier titles. Now there's a subtle difference between challenging players, which is something almost all games do, and a game being based around the idea of challenges. And the latter does feel like it applies to Wonder. With this shifted focus, the developers most likely wanted to remove all unnecessary clutter. The game isn't as much about moving through a level, so maybe the timer doesn't need to push players to do so. Interestingly, the player's score was also deemed unnecessary, which is why we now see good in places where we'd previously seen some points. This isn't surprising considering the lack of interest in scores nowadays, but it is interesting. Incidentally, Mario Wonder has a new way of making you replay levels to get collectibles, which is by making some of them unobtainable if you mess something up with no way to keep trying. It's usually due to the fact that enemies don't respawn now. I do not like this. Why make enemies fun to take out, but then throw in a few that turn out to have a specific purpose? Am I supposed to, every single time, consider each creature's mortality? What a life is really worth?
Isn't this something that sometimes that happens in a lot of Mario games though? I don't think this is unique to Wonder, is it? I don't think so. Playing Wonder right now, normal levels just feel just as long as the new super ones. I was going to call them on that, but I don't have as much knowledge off the top of my head for me to like be able to call him on that. Would you guys say the levels in Wonder are shorter to the point where they feel like challenges, like this guy said? Because I don't agree. I just didn't really feel like I don't have the confidence to refute that, you know. So I don't really say anything. But I don't really think so. No, I don't think so. But let's continue.
Whether I should kill or have mercy. Maybe I'm missing something. Either way, I think it's safe to say that Super Mario Wonder is trying to fundamentally reshape what a 2D Mario game is like. Without the traditional form of level progression and without a score counter, a timer wouldn't be much of a contribution. It might.
When you say without the traditional form of level progression, I would love to, like, I'm guessing what you mean is that there's like obviously a different variety of levels. There's like challenge levels, there's break time levels, there's puzzle levels, and there's your standard Wonder fare. But does that like really affect the level progression, or does that, like, in what way does that affect the level progression in such a way where it relates to the time being removed? Like, I don't feel like you've connected the two, and if you did, I apologize. I must have missed it while reading a funny message in the chat. But I don't really feel like you've connected the two. Like, if anything, maybe the variety of levels means that saying a timer for each of them would be a bit much, so they decided to get rid of it. Or maybe it's that, like, if you don't want an instance where someone's exploring the level, or they finally find the wonder scene, they just die because of a timer. I don't know. I'm trying to think of conclusions for the guy, if I'm honest. But let's finish up the video.
Even be a distraction, which is enough reason to let it go. And while that makes a lot of sense, I'm not sure what to think of this new direction for the series. While it's a good thing to shake things up, I'll be missing the way things were. Challenges can be great fun, but it also feels like they're playing into internet culture a bit. Kind of like those arcades.
In what way? What? No, if anything, I just like the fact that there's different types of levels to spice things up. Like, instead of just your standard Mario fare every time, you can play like, if anything, that's one of the things I really love about Astro Bot. Like, I could play a normal level in Astro Bot, and then I can do one of the PlayStation Void type levels, which are a shorter, tougher level, if I want something a bit more quicker, you know, to like break up the pace. If anything, that's kind of like a modern game design sensibility that a lot of modern platformers have done that I think that Nintendo's actually catching up to for once. I think it's like the copy of the contemporaries. Like, I think Rayman Legends also does that as well. Like, you have your standard fare, but sometimes you also unlock, you know, back to Origins levels, and then there's like a bit of a break in the action from there. I think Shovel Knight as well. Like, you got your standard Shovel Knight fare and Shovel of Hope, but then you also have like standard battles that take place in the overworld, and like standard gem levels that also take place in the overworld to like break up the pace. Again, I fucking, like, if anything, that's just something that the 2010 era platformers have kind of done, that Mario has taken into account because it's a generally I would say better way of designing the game. I like the fact that Mario is like you know, standard level. Then I could play a break time level. Then I could play another standard level. Then I could play a puzzle level. I don't want to play the puzzle levels, but you get my drift, right? Like you kind of, again, like in 3D World, as Carson says, you know, you could play a level. Then there's a mystery house, and then, you know, like the flashback tapes in Crash 4. Again, you can mention so many games in like the 2010s and the 2020s that adopt this level of game design. So when you say something like this, let me hear it again.
To shake things up, I'll be missing the way things were. Challenges can be great fun, but it also feels like they're playing into internet culture a bit.
What do you mean by that? Because they've been doing this for like what? As far back as 15 years ago, should we say? Like, maybe as old as Shovel Knight. I think Shovel Knight's the oldest game I said. So as far back as Shovel Knight, at least, maybe even older than that, they've been doing this style of level progression where it's like there's different types of levels, you know? So when you say this, I'm just like, are you doing the whole young people bad because ADHD? Like, what are we doing? Frog, that's disappointing to me. I'm not gonna, if there's one thing that irks me, it's when people do the whole kids these days. Like, that's kids these days, but in a different language, isn't it? Frog vibes. I'm disappointed in you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a little disappointed in you. Wonder Rewards exploration, as seen with the grabbing the world and Wonderfly on the seas, is meant to be experienced, not sped through. A journey over destination. Having a time would go against that most likely. Again, a nice thesis statement. It would have been nice if he said this, but I guess not. I'd say as far back as Rayman Legends 2013. So yeah, as far back as 2013, you could say these levels have been doing it. I'm not gonna be. This feels like he's trying to fight change. It definitely feels that way. I am definitely like a little bit disappointed. I was thinking as like an indie dev, maybe you'd have like a take from a game developer that I probably wouldn't be able to have. But I think this is just coming across as kids these days, which is really sad actually. But I'll let you finish the video.
Kind of like those arcades. That, combined with the downgrading of couch co-op in favor of online play, really highlights that Nintendo is trying to modernize Mario a bit much.
Well, again, it's... How often are you... This is old, isn't it? He's old! No! Why is everyone old? I hate this. I actually fucking hate. I hate these people. I hate these people. So, chat, I hate it. I'm 30. These are supposed to be like, chat. You don't understand. I am the person that a statement like this is supposed to appeal to, and I fucking cannot stand it. Yes, most people play games online these days. So is the online system kind of a bit buggered? A little bit, but you're not gonna. Why you frame it as like, oh, they're catering more to online cop instead of couch cop? You should say the real take, which is every player should have been like opaque so you could like throw them off the map. That's the real take, but you didn't say that. It was just kids these days. I mean, you're not even older than. Again, and I guarantee I'll find out that he's like 26. He's not even older than me. I guarantee you, I'm gonna find out. It's the Meech all over again. Jesus, the Meech December never really ends, does it? When will it end, Robbie? When will it end? Good lord. Man. Oh, anyway, thank you so much, bro. Should It's 10 years old, my knees. It's an old game, man. I remember I missed the cutoff to kickstart that game because I wanted my face in the Champions Gallery, but I never got a chance to, unfortunately.
Luckily, there's a lot of stuff I do like about Wonder and the way it changes things up. What about you? Are there any particular changes that you think were great or not so great? Did you notice the absence of a timer? Do you think this new vision is the way to go for the franchise?
Yes, they should make a Wonder 2.
Please tell me in the comments or in our Discord, where I tend to hang out. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye. Real quick, I just finished recording the video.
Yeah?
But I came up with maybe like a better intro.
Okay.
So it was, Mario Wonder doesn't have a timer.
Yeah.
I wonder where it went.
Fuck you, old man. You know what? He is older than me. He's like 32 years old with a pun like that. Yeah, I can't. Where's the? Hey, Alfonso, link the theme. Link the theme. I lost all those damn children and their timers. Can you believe this? Sonic is behind this, isn't he? I hate those goddamn children. Whoever can get rid of all the children will be down for a promotion. That's how you sound. That's how you sounded this entire video. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest, brother. That's how you've sounded this entire video, and I can't help but be a little bit disappointed. I'm going to be honest. I can't help but be a little bit disappointed. Not necessarily with the whole boomer bit at the end, but even your whole timer thing. It's like, I'm glad that you have an experience with the timer, but I can't say this relates to literally anyone. Verdict, delete the video. Don't delete the video. Like, I don't think the video is like actively horrible, but I also don't think it's very persuasive in the slightest, which then begs the question, does the video need to be persuasive? Ideally it would be, because if you're gonna make a video saying how 2D Mario levels lost its timer, I would say it's kind of inherently implied that you want to convince people that the timer is a good thing, right? Which I would say you've done a bad job at this. Not horrendous? Horrendous is probably the better word. I would say a horrendous job at doing this. Are we going deep, chat? Are we going deep? Let's go, gamers. Bravo 6. Going dark. Previous ones are very specific, yeah, I know. There's the frowny face, you know, I lost this timer. It's like the sack boy frown. That's what I think of when I see this. That's what I think. Let's hang on, can I turn it up a little bit? Why is it so low? Why's my Bravo 6 so low? Hang on, I got to turn that shit up a little bit. There we go. It's uploaded yesterday as well, so it's not even like old. Okay, Bravo 6. Going dark. Admittedly, I wasn't big on the time in 3D world. Those levels are pretty enriching to vibe in them sometimes, but the time meant I couldn't stop to smell the roses. Yeah, I think I somewhat agree with this. It's totally valid. I enjoy hanging out in games like that. Partly why I made Here Comes Nico. Oh, shameless plug for your game? Yeah? I'd actually disagree. I see the time as more of an opening to a discussion. No, fair enough. I can see that way. One of my biggest issues with Mario Maker is that there's no option to turn off. Like, how big can you make the timer, by the way, guys? How big can you make the timer? Can you make it like infinite? Not infinite, but can you like make it 900 seconds long? If you can, then 500 is the highest. That's enough time, isn't it? Sure, that's enough time, right? I don't know. Sad thing is that although adding a score rank system gives a new way to engage the game, it's sort of slapped on to an experience that's often not engaging to pursue. True! If you want a good score in the original Super Mario Bros., you find a part in the level that gets you a 1-up each time you play it. You go through that section collecting points, die and reset. You can try and optimally pick up points for the rest of the playthrough, sure, but to a certain point, your only option is to grind out unlimited points because it's simply the only way to proceed. True, that's why the fucking score system sucks. In games like Super Mario World, New Super Mario Bros., we can replay levels indefinitely. The score becomes crazy irrelevant. True. The problem is the score in 3D World still runs the issues of like an exploit, of course. Now, unfortunately, the lack of level timers means every level you do have to time your levels yourself. If attempting good level until he's just talking about speedrunning now, isn't he? Who's messaging me? Team Snapchat, that's who's messaging me. A bit too long didn't read. The only time limit level is a 3D World boss splits. We have a strict and fast on defeating all 400 seconds. I think, yeah, definitely. Again, there's some levels that do this, but I don't know. Really interesting topic. I've always disliked timers when looking for star coins, or even just because it give you less time to mess around, especially with multiplayer friends. But also you have the rush with having to complete level in 100 seconds all of a sudden. How often is this happening though? I mean, I guess maybe we're just wrong, chat. Maybe we're just wrong. On the flip side, being timed makes those moments more precious. And messing around is even more fun. One of the players getting more and more concerned with the time while the rest is goofing on. True, I guess. Before watching, as a long-time Mario level creator, Mario level timers were usually an element of frustration for players, especially if I want to focus on exploration and letting players take it slow. It really only serves the purpose if I deliberately set the timer low as a central mechanic. That's just true, yeah. It's just disappointing, really. I've played every Mario platform since 1985 up until Wonder came out. None could surpass Super Mario Bros. 3. Had to throw in a little opinion there, a wrong opinion. I think Wonder did something first and foremost so stylistically, aesthetically different that made the charm undeniable. Then under the new coat of paint is what you observe, the removal of the score on the timer. Long overdue IMO. True. I don't think the focus on challenges is a problem at all. You notice that the devs are cutting on necessary things, and that is the second biggest strength after its looks and charm. As I've played it, I've never felt like anything was missing, because every level I want to explore one particular ability, concept, or technique just the right amount of time before moving on to something else. And that time needed only be dictated by your curiosity and spatial length of time of the level itself. If anything, my only gripe is the simplicity of the boss. True. How does he respond? This is just true. I think we all kind of agree with this, right? Timer badge. Wonder does some amazing things inside. The series is long overdue for a rehaul. Maybe I should just play a single player so I could appreciate it better. Local player is essentially broken at least one spot for every. Is it really that bad? What the fuck? Also, I think this is you. I feel like as a game dev, Mr. Frog's Vibes Games, I feel like you should kind of like. Have you guys ever experienced? I don't know. Like, I don't know how much of you guys have experienced this, but like, have you ever tried to like play a game with like friends that you actually wanted to take seriously? It's like a wash. Imagine like any game with like a serious plot or anything. With friends, it's just, you do your best Sonic fan dub impression and start like fucking dubbing cutscenes and like making fun of people, you know what I mean? That's just kind of, the game becomes a lot less serious, and you don't really get the chance to appreciate what the game can really do. So if anything, I think the fact that you've only played it in like multiplayer and haven't played it in single player to appreciate it, it's a bit of a shame, really. Unironically, my brothers play Double Dash very seriously. Interesting, because I know every single time I try to play a multiplayer game with friends, like, you just fuck around. That's just the rule, really, you know? It becomes very unserious. So if you wanted to like experience a consistent experience, especially someone said, what's it, in multiplayer, you basically can't die neither. So any of the difficulty factors is basically removed. So it's a very odd way to experience one, I'm just saying. Very odd, Mr. Frog Vibes. I think timers should be optional. You can switch them off for some kind of speedrun challenge. In that sense, they count up. But I don't need them to countdown timers. It just throws me out of a level for no reason. Then I stayed too long in a level. True. Absolutely true. Why not? He didn't respond. It's been 6 hours. It's been 5 hours, Sim Chen. You need to respond or you lose the internet argument. Not really. The most serious I get locking in is Smash Bros. And even though I'm not looking at that hard because it becomes unserious. Yeah, exactly. Having a time as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can make a game more fun in multiple ways, but on others, it can be ominous having a death clock in the corner. It can be my anxiety inducing. Although I don't think most people notice it's there at all. At least not anyone I've played with. Only when the timer gets low because we're messing around too much. Ominous. I've never cared about that time. So yeah, exactly. Ominous. Very, very, very powerful word that Mr. Arabic here has noticed. Ominous. Would you describe the time as ominous? Chat. Let's do a couple more and then we'll go. I enjoy that Daisy's a playable character. Who's a Daisy standing here? Is this truing for anyone? What's another word we can use, chat? The timer is foreboding. The timer is, what's another word we can use? We need like a video essay level word, okay? The timer is lecherous. The timer is sussy. That's all we need. The preferred use of a timer toggle is the default being off or a stopwatch, or an option for a classic and faster bronze, silver, gold timers. That way more options for pace in the game. Oh yeah, I think that could be interesting. Oh, what's it? NES Remix did this. I love this in NES Remix, where like, you know, like in NES Remix, when you do a challenge, you get like a 3-star rating. And then if you do it even faster, you get a secret rainbow rating as well. Mario levels could do that, right? I think that'd be interesting. The time is smothering. Yeah, Crash does that as well. Yeah, I noticed that Crash does that too. That's really good. Are there games that use a system like this already? I'm curious. Yes, we've said some. I don't know if I guess if you want a platform, you could say like the Crash games. Sonic Advance 3, another yeah, exactly, another fantastic example. It plays like a secret bonus jingle when you get a gold medal as well. I'd love to go in for the gold medals in Sonic Advance 3, but that's because like the game like made you wanna, you know, you wanna. Let's be honest. You're gonna include me as well, Rico Lee? 4-player co-op in mainline Mario has never been great in 2D or 3D because of the camera problems. They could fix that'd be great, but the camera gets stuck far too much. Yeah, true. You're not wrong. Who's hyped for DKC Returns remake? Should I stream it on day one, chat, with my regular week? Should I do that? I think removing the time was the right choice. The present discourages player from playing at a slower pace if they'd like. They'll like to hold the run button the whole time, resulting in more mistakes and a stressful time. Good point. I think most levels are designed to be beatable without the run button, since none of the game explains that exists. I actually think it's fun to try and play without it. I did while recording, and it makes games feel very different. But you're wrong, though. How does it feel being wrong, Mr. Frog Vibes? Either way, interesting comments. Some of them agreed, some of them disagreed. But overall, I can't really say that you've convinced me with your thesis statement, Frog Vibes. You made the mistake of posting an opinion I disagree with on the internet. Therefore, you're cancelled. Stick to game devs, okay? Stick to game deving. All right, get out of here, nerd.